Greetings this evening of your time as you create time to exist. I will not ask you how you are, for I know you are all perfect. Perfect expressions of whatever it is you are exploring in any given moment. Allow me to begin by thanking you all for your willingness to co-create this interaction with me and members of my society this evening of your time. Although we identify ourselves as extraterrestrials, by the way, to us, you are extraterrestrial. We do not in any way insist that anything that we have to say or any way that we are creating our lives is any better than your own. In fact, we recognize, and perhaps you will understand as your own awareness of other forms of life expands, that all methods of expression, all ways of being are not only completely valid, but completely equal. Therefore, though there are certain things that have worked for us in our society that perhaps will be of use to you, this does not assume that what we are saying is any better than what you are already doing. As I have said, you are all perfect creators, flawless. And therefore, you are already creating a complete reality. So completely do you create your own reality that you actually can experience the apparency of being a separate being, cut off from the rest of all reality, not connected to all the rest of the reality that you contain. To us, this is a very, very focused exploration. The way that your society creates and expresses its consciousness is a very focused expertise. You're all specialists in limitation, specialists in separation, if you will. I do not say this to poke fun at you. I say this with the utmost respect of the, shall I say, courage that it entails to experience yourself in such a way. You have very literally for the last 25,000 years of your social history created yourself as a very focused point of view. So focused, once again, that you would seem to be separate from the rest of creation. One of the reasons we are able to communicate with you at this time is you are arising from this cycle of limitation. You are expanding from this fine degree of focus to begin to entertain the notion that perhaps, just perhaps, you actually have more to do with the statement of yourself as a being, with your very reality, than you have heretofore chosen to express and heretofore chosen to understand. What I am saying is that you are expanding both individually and collectively. As you do so, and your awareness expands, your awareness of many other things and many other ways of being, by extension, also expands. So therefore you attract on perhaps what you now perceive to be the edges of your reality, what you sometimes refer to as weird phenomena. Things that couldn't have possibly existed before this particular time. Many, many things obviously exist that you are not aware of individually, and as you expand and grow, you become more aware and marvel and revel at the things that exist. One of the ideas within that awareness, as you begin to explore parts of yourself, or in the way that you create yourself as an expression of parts many times, are the more alien portions of yourself. In certain ways, this is what your ability to now perceive me, although only in this form at this point, represents. Beginning to explore those corners as you create them of your consciousness. Beginning to expand your point of view to encompass more. You are beginning to collectively entertain the notion that there is life other than upon your planet, intelligent life. From my perspective, this is a given, but each and every one of you will make your own decision. I do not insist, by the way, that you believe who I say I am. It is not important for these interactions. I am more concerned with sharing information with you and learning from you as well. And then you can decide if the information is useful to you. And if it is, by all means use it. If not, you will still have learned more about who you are by seeing a sparkling example of who you are not. So either way, you learn. Either way, you grow. Either way, and this applies, by the way, to anything that you attract in your reality, you expand and define yourself still further. Ironically, as you define yourself further and further, you realize how big, so to speak, you really are. For although you now create the appearancy that you exist within a reality, so large are you, and I mean this arbitrarily, that in actuality you are coming to find that the reality exists within you. And at least from a physical point of view, this is very large. Therefore, you may understand that as you attract awareness and expand your consciousness and awareness, you begin to recall, to remember, to attract the tools to allow you to accelerate that awareness. Many of the things we discuss with you may seem to fall under the category you sometimes refer to as metaphysical, because we speak of yourselves as creators beyond the physical, metaphysical. But also do we include that ability to create your physical reality as well. And one of, shall I say, the most notable reasons that we interact with you is your readiness and your willingness to begin to understand yourselves as creators that much more. Because we create our own reality 100% consciously, we are just some of the, shall I say, sharers that you attract. Sometimes you will say, when you are ready, the teacher will come. That is one of your sayings. But I will refrain from using the word teacher, for we are all equal sharers. Each of us teach what it is that we have to, in that sense, share, but we also always learn. And remembering that allows you to remain open, allows you to balance the energy of output with the energy of receptivity. So therefore, I learn from you as well. And I thank you for your willingness to allow me to experience your consciousness. For the more I understand about you, the more I understand about me. For to me, you all exist within my consciousness. The paradox is that this is true for each and every person. Perhaps at first that seems confusing, but that will change as you expand your awareness. Each individual contains the entire reality. Oh, that sounds like a bunch of nonsense, Elan. All right. That is the nature of paradox. Things that would seem to be mutually exclusive. It must be this, it must be that. When you actually find out that it is both. Not this or that, but both. So you are, in a sense, individuals, each with your own individual point of view, and yet you each contain the entirety of reality. And this will make more sense as you do expand your awareness. Right now, make a note of it. One of the things that we discuss with you is creating your reality consciously. For, as we have mentioned, and as you have heard, and as many of you entertain, you do create your own reality. But you have a definition that when you do so, not according to preference, not according to intention, that you do so unconsciously. The moment you allow yourself to be aware of something, however, it is now a conscious awareness. So if you entertain the notion that you create your reality, even if you entertain that some of it is created by you unconsciously, you can begin to allow the unconscious, quote-unquote, portion of your creation to become conscious, so that your reality is a reflection, is an extension of your intention and your preference, rather than a random event, subject to the whims of your temperamental subconscious minds. That is one way to look at it. But as you allow awareness, unconscious becomes conscious. You call it unconscious knowingness. We call it conscious unknowingness. Same term, slightly different spin. Conscious unknowingness puts it back into your power to change. Unconscious knowingness has you searching behind every nook and cranny, as you say, within your partitioned reality as you create it. Now, you are all 100% beings. One of the ways that you express yourself and define yourself is as a collection of parts, not only body parts, but different parts of your consciousness. Our understanding is that there is one consciousness. You are one whole 100% being. Therefore, you can express this by being willing to allow things to be conscious. The way, very simply, and this is by way of what you would call slight review from our last interaction and many others, that you now create your own reality is very simple. In any given moment, regardless of what is present in that moment and your excuse or reasons for doing so, you decide who you are. You make a decision. I am this person. Now, either you do so consciously because it is who you desire to be, or you do so because this is telling me this is here, so I must be this type of person. But either way, you decide, you make a decision. Consciously creating your own reality will allow you to make that decision with intention, because you say so, with self-commandment, which is one of your abilities to express. But very often you will identify circumstances in a given moment and say, well, I must be this person because look at the mess I've created. That is still a decision. I am this person. So your reality and the perpetuation of the creation of your reality begins with deciding who you are. Once you decide who you are, the next thing you do, perhaps somewhat automatically at this point, is you trust in that decision. Well, I am this person, therefore this person acts this particular way. This person responds this particular way. You trust, you play along with the decision, very literally. And thirdly, you act as though you trust in that decision, in who you have defined yourself to be. And through these actions in your physical life, you create phenomena, circumstances, interactions, actions, and then what you refer to as reactions. We have discussed with you consciously deciding who you prefer to be as the first step in consciously creating your reality. Therefore, perhaps at first, this will involve some of what you call insightful thinking, some of what you call touching base with the things that move you, with the things that excite you, with the things that bring you joy, with integrity. Allowing yourself to identify who you prefer to be allows you to state, allows you to make that decision with focus, with conscious intention. I am this person because this is who I choose to be. And this is what makes me feel like I am the person I wish to be. Deciding consciously who you are by extension, in order to allow that conscious decision to become your life, then requires the trust that now that you have made the decision, that's who you are, no matter what the reality may appear like. If you maintain that decision, you maintain that awareness of your intention, and you maintain the trust in that decision, you can determine the actions, part 3, which will be consistent with that decision in any given moment. Allow me to entitle this interaction, Opportunities of Alignment. As you make the decision to be the person that you choose to be, if there is some method that you have created in your thinking that runs contrary to that decision, it comes up and allows you to see it. When it comes up and allows you to see it, you have a choice. You can say, well, now that I see this, I will use this as an opportunity to align myself to who I prefer to be, to remind myself to who I choose to be. Or I can allow whatever the circumstance to talk me out of it and to be evidence that, of course, I'm not that person, or this would not exist. Therefore, things that come up initially that would seem to run contrary or would seem to thwart on the surface the decision that you have made as to who you are actually opportunities of alignment. They are your opportunity to realign, to reaffirm who you are in that moment. Therefore, many of the things that you have allowed to talk yourself out of being the person who you desire to be are actually the very tools, the very opportunities to allow you to reestablish that person and show yourself that you really are that person. For if you are that person, if you make that decision, trusting that decision means not allowing anything to talk you out of it. If you trust the decision, nothing can talk you out of it. I am this person. So regardless of this circumstance in my life that seems to run contrary to the thing that I desire, I'm still this person. And I will interact with that circumstance as this person, rather than allowing it to talk me out of who I have chosen to be. Either way, you will make a decision, trust that decision, and act on the circumstance. But if you allow the circumstance to talk you out of who you are, the actions will be far different than if you allow the circumstance to be an opportunity of aligning yourself to who you prefer to be. Therefore, many of the things that you label in your life, in your reality, in your experience as obstacles, as blocks in your path, are actually road signs, detours, but at the same time, opportunities to establish, to apply the trust in who you have decided to be consciously. Circumstance, for instance, comes along, since this seems to be an issue that many of you interact with, where you decide, I am abundant. Hit home with that one. And all of a sudden, a symbol comes along that would seem to run contrary to the fact that you are abundant. Perhaps what you call, one moment, we do not have these, allow me to access the channel's memory. A bill that you cannot pay at that moment. You have two choices. You can say, I thought I was abundant. But if I was abundant, I would be able to pay this bill. So I must not be abundant. Oh, poor me. Therefore, you have decided in that moment, utilizing an external circumstance, I am not abundant, which means you never really trusted that you were abundant. You never fully trusted the decision. The first challenge to that decision, you go tucking your tail between your legs and running, and allowing a circumstance to show you where your trust truly lies. But by using that circumstance to shift your perspective, to consciously apply your trust, that very bill that you cannot pay is an opportunity to say, I am abundant. I know I'm abundant. I made the decision. I create my reality. Therefore, this cannot be evidence that I am not abundant. It is evidence of something, and I will allow it to become apparent as it needs to. But I am abundant. It is my intention to be able to pay bills as they come in. Therefore, I will look at the symbol. It is there. Perhaps there is a deadline attached to it, but I know I am abundant. And therefore, I intend to pay the bill. I know I can't now. It is not one of the options, but I will move forward with the options that are available as being the abundant person rather than the tail between leg person. Now, perhaps at first, this sounds like a mental exercise or a form of placating yourself, or fooling yourself, or patronizing yourself. That is one of the excuses that individuals will create to not trust in the decision. However, it is far more than that. Because when you choose not to decide, I am abundant even though I have this bill I cannot pay, you are still making a decision. You are deciding, I am no longer abundant. I implicitly trust that I'm not abundant. Here's the certificate. And you will act, believe me, according to that trust. You will perform actions with the foundation of the decision that you do not prefer, and those actions will create circumstances that will continue to reinforce the person you say you do not choose to be. So it is far more than fooling yourself. It is realigning your intention and using what you have heretofore labeled your greatest liabilities as your assets, one by one. If you proceed as the individual who must not really be abundant, your actions in reflecting that will continue to create circumstances which will continue to reinforce that you are not abundant. If you use it as an opportunity to align that you are, you will do something different. You will move different. You will hold yourself different. You will interact with individuals different. You will maintain that abundance consciousness, and the results of those actions obviously would be different and will create circumstance whereby you can pay the bill because you have looked at the issue, the belief that underlies the symbol. The bill is nothing external that has control over you. The bill is a symbol of an internal concept. Everything in physical reality is. This is what you begin to realize as you expand. Everything is a symbol. Even the IRS, even the IRS. It is a symbol. It is a symbol of your integrity, of your agreements, and of your ability to create to the level that you desire. Opportunities of alignment are all around you. If you decide this is who I am, you completely trust it and completely act that way and have no issues that run contrary to that decision, the circumstance will reflect that. And things will not seem to come up that run contrary. But if things do come up that would seem contrary, they are allowing you to get to the core of these issues, to reestablish your preference, to reestablish who you choose to be. And when you act that way, those actions have results. Those results reinforce your decision. And down the line, those opportunities become less and less because you handle the issues that underlie them. All circumstance, all reality, literally, is an external reflection of an internal substance of consciousness. You create it in terms of thoughts, emotions, and beliefs. But it is truly consciousness. Therefore, look around. When you decide who you are, embrace the opportunities. You can actually have fun with this. You can actually enjoy reaffirming yourself. You will actually begin to see, well, this month I can pay this bill. Well, this month I am able to get this thing that I say would be reflective of my abundance. But not by selling out to circumstance. Not by allowing the issues that you have to talk you out of who you prefer to be. But by allowing them to reinforce your clear intention. I am this person. Therefore, I approach the situation as this person. And I act as this person. Decision, trust in the decision, acting as though you trust in the decision. This is how you create. This is how you've always created. And this is how you can create consciously. Now, again, I am not saying you have to. Perhaps many of you enjoy the limitation. Perhaps you enjoy the separation. Perhaps you understand that the natural, quote-unquote, natural state is expansion, is understanding your connection, is the oneness, so you are getting your feet in the mud of limitation and creating it to enjoy what is unique about it. Feeling limited, feeling separated is unique. It is an unusual exploration in the scheme of things. We interact with many different societies, what you would refer to as alien or extraterrestrial societies. And there is perhaps, you can say, a broad spectrum of the degree to which societies will create a fine focus. I will say that a majority of the societies that we interact with maintain far less of a focus than your own. They maintain an understanding of their overall connection to everything, as themselves emanating as a spark of the infinite creation and not separate from the infinite creation. Many of these societies have, quote-unquote, evolved their thinking to that point. Many of them have truly never chosen to create that degree of limitation. So, in many ways, your society is unique to us and an opportunity to learn. Now, the paradox is we are not able to interact with you in too much of the infancy of this focus, because when you are so finely focused, you cannot perceive of us. You will not accept the idea of any other consciousness, of any other life, of any other beings. So already to even be having such an interaction, you have evolved your thinking process. You have expanded your awareness to the point where you entertain the notion. But to us, you are a fascinating race of beings. We respect you. We honor your choice. We honor your sovereignty. This is why you will not see us land en masse, contrary to what you may hear, prior to your mass invitation. That would be interfering with your choice. That would be saying, well, you can't handle what you create. It would be dishonoring you as beings. So therefore, we remain unobtrusive. We remain in the background because you are expanding your awareness. You see and hear more of the possibility of our existence, and certain individuals will get quote unquote physical proof of our existence. But largely, you will admit, our existence remains speculative because we honor your sovereignty as beings. Now, you will have many individuals in your society representing our viewpoints in many ways. Remember, I am only speaking for my own civilization. But in general, when you hear the point of view that you as a planet are sinking, are drowning, and that extraterrestrials will come down, save you, beam you up, take you home, this is a disservice to you as creators. This is an inaccurate representation of our approach to other societies, and it is a disservice. Therefore, and again, you may believe whatever you wish, you may attract whatever you wish. When you talk about us taking you home, you are not acknowledging that because you create your reality and choose to do so on some level of your awareness, for now at least, this is home. Home is wherever you are. Home is what you are. If you allow yourself to be aware of this, you can begin to feel this and understand you carry home around with you. If you insist that home is somewhere else, you are always going somewhere and never quite getting there because you are bringing home around with you anyway and not realizing it. It may seem to some of you that it is cruel to quote unquote allow knowing what we know and having the abilities that we have, the suffering as you created on your planet. And I understand that it seems perhaps ridiculous in one way of looking at it to assume that anyone who is involved in such suffering creates it on some level. Though it may appear cruel to say that, it is actually honoring that decision. Now, this does not mean that we condone violence, famine, injustice, cruelty. No, we do not condone it at all. Therefore, in our reality, in our society, we do not create it. But we understand that on some level of your awareness, you are choosing to experience that degree of separation and now are choosing to expand your awareness. You can certainly be who you are and make a positive difference on your planet. But you cannot take responsibility for anyone else. You can only be responsible to them in whatever way you are able to assist them, but you cannot do anything for them. And the mere fact that you cannot allows you to see in no uncertain terms that they create their experience, you create your experience. Sitting in a comfortable chair, it may be completely unthinkable that anyone would create lack, limitation, famine, separation. But you are sitting in the comfortable chair from this perspective thinking about that and not understanding the overall focus. Your planet as a whole is moving away from this, but in doing so, a lot of the remnants or vestiges of these ideas are shaking up. And what you call your ability to globally communicate is allowing one group, one person to have an experience and many groups and many individuals to participate from afar in that experience, to be aware of that experience. So in this time on your planet, when individuals create certain explorations that would seem negative, not only do they get to explore the results of their particular creations, but so do you all from the comfort of your own living room over what you call your television set. So the expanded awareness also manifests as what you call global communication, which is expanding at an exponential rate upon your planet right now. So you can look for the signs that you are not evolving as a race. You can look for the excuses to keep yourself down, or you can look for the absolute evidence that you are expanding, that you are increasing your ability to reach out, that you are increasing your ability to be living examples, which is the strongest form of assistance. Doing something for someone to the degree that they are not then able to do it for themselves is a form of what you call dependence. Being the person that you assume you should be and being a living example of what can be is a far stronger symbol to everyone involved. And as I have said, you can all see each other more now. So this is a very exciting time for you all if you choose to see it. If you choose to decide who you are, not only will it make an absolute difference in your life, but you will add that many more positive reflections, that many more positive options to the life of others. And in interacting with you, very literally, this is what we do. Simply explain our perspective. Simply pose another option so that if it looks attractive, you have one more option. If it does not, you will attract another source. You always have, you always will. The irony is that these sources are all reflections from inside of you. When you decide who you are and a circumstance comes along that seems to test you, many of you say, well, God, or all that is, or the universe is testing me. Not really. You are testing you. There is no outside universe. There is no outside all that is or infinite creator. You are an expression of the universe, of all that is, of what you call God directly. Whether or not you choose to express that is an option. And that option is part of the unconditional love of the creative force. Therefore, I thank you for your ability to increase your awareness, to expand your awareness to the point where we can have such conversations. Very literally, though it is not, again, in any way necessary, these types of interactions and these types of infusions of acting like conscious creators on your part from whatever the source bring us closer together to interacting physically. It is our perception that we will interact physically with your society. Maybe a few years of your time from now. But all that it will require is personal intention, personal transformation, personal request. It is not the point that we interact. It is perhaps what you would call fringe benefit, or perhaps what you would call side effect of expanding your awareness. But never will we present ourselves to you as proof that we exist. For we already know we exist and we don't need proof. In honor and in return for your willingness to allow me to interact with you in this way and allow other members of my society to, perhaps you can say, participate peripherally, I thank you. And I ask you how we may mutually share and be of service to each other. Sharing. Hey.
I recently came across this idea, Photon Belt. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Repeat.
Photon Belt is where our solar system is going to enter Photon Belt sometime around.
Photon Belt. One moment. Though what you call your solar system is in motion, and though many various aspects of what you call space are in motion, it is not my particular perception that you will be directly passing through any, perhaps again what you are referring to is concentrated form of photonic matter or photons. So though this is constantly occurring, it is not to my awareness that there is a concentration of that you will physically pass through. Understand what you call photon or packets of light, so to speak, to simplify it greatly. And they are all around. You are literally photons in one way of looking at it. So perhaps what an individual may be perceiving is as you individually begin to shine, to be that light, you may create a concentration of that light on your planet. But as far as celestially passing through it, at least from our ability to scan, it would not take that form. Does that answer the question?
Yes, and if I can add something else, what if we come across information like this, books or from people, and it's just so much interesting stuff there. So what I'm confused because I don't know whether to take it seriously or just ignore it. Or
well, first of all, I would suggest lightening up rather than taking it seriously because you are talking about packets of light. But secondly, how does it allow you to feel? Why do you wish in that sense to believe in such an idea?
Yes, I did think a lot about that.
And what did you come up with?
I would like it to happen.
Why? What would it represent to you to have your planet, your solar system, pass through a belt of light?
Oh, because it's supposed to make all these changes in our lives.
It will make changes in your life. Then you won't have to make them. Is that it?
It seems too difficult. The world, the way it is now, it seems too difficult to imagine that it will ever get any better.
Very good. That is what you have decided. Do you like that decision?
I would like a shortcut.
Do you like the decision that it is difficult?
You mean...
Obviously, you have used whatever evidence you are attracting to decide that transforming is difficult, yes?
Okay, and I'm not talking for myself. I'm thinking...
Speak for yourself for now. We will generalize later. Why don't you just say yes?
Yes, it's difficult. I don't like...
All right. My point exactly is that is a decision. May not seem like one, may seem like your assessment of an external situation, an external reality, but we're getting down to some mechanics here. What I am allowing you to be aware of, because you have attracted me to reflect this, and so you are prepared to hear it, is that you have decided it is difficult. Now, in making that decision, on some level, you will trust that decision and your actions will reflect it and perpetuate it. In using it as an opportunity to remember one moment, I want it to be easy. I decide that it is easy to transform. And as a person who makes that decision, I know that I will then attract the tools, the resources that will allow me to express that it is easy. So the Photon Belt, as an example, can be used as an opportunity to light you up as a concept. Do you understand?
Yes.
Is this useful?
It's useful, but can I ask you, you have talked about the 3 days of sleep that your civilization went through and then you were transformed. So...
One moment. This individual is referring to perhaps what you would refer to in your society as our version of the coming of the collective, unconditionally loving consciousness. Sometimes your society, without getting into the person, but the concept in the mass consciousness, will refer to this as the coming of the Christ consciousness. That is the awareness of your connection, the awareness of your complete extension of yourself as all that is and acting that way. In our society, we began with less of an idea of separation. It was not a very far stretch for us to accept that this was so. We already basically embodied this. So when the notion arose in the mass consciousness as a symbol, as a person, it only took what you would call 3 days for the entire civilization to allow that awareness to ripple through them and go from feeling connected to begin with to understanding the depth of that connection. It was only represented in but a few days because we started out with more of the recognition of that connection. Your society has started out from a complete pinpoint degree of focus. And therefore, what you would refer to as the coming of your Christ consciousness did awake ideas in people, and it did create a whole nother form or option of limitation right along with it. The second coming, as you call it, will be similar to our first. It will well up in each individual, that recognition, that perspective. But it will take a bit more than 3 days. It is occurring. It will take many years in a collective way. But that is because you have, again, approximately a 25,000-year history of trying on the limited point of view. In the context of tens of thousands of years, a few decades is about 3 days. Do you understand the analogy?
Yes.
So it is abrupt. It is sudden. It does happen relatively quickly. But you are starting from a different focus than we started from.
The idea is it's not going to happen soon because we are not prepared for it. We are not ready yet.
One moment. I did not say that. I said that is why en masse it may seem to take a few decades. Individually, you are ready for it. Individually, you are entertaining it. You are beginning to be it. If you understand your planet as a collection, loosely speaking, of beings, of points of view, of consciousness, linear, finite in number, at least conceptually, you will understand that certain individuals in linear time will seem to awaken first, second, third, 6 billionth, and so on. Your focus and your best placed attention is in your own transformation, because as you transform within, external reality reflects that transformation. Others may seem to change. Circumstances may seem to change. Your ability to change can happen immediately by making that decision consciously, trusting in that decision, allowing any circumstances which seem to run contrary to that decision to be opportunities to realign to that decision. You can immediately, effectively realize that. For the person who knows they are abundant, gets the bill that they cannot pay as a reflection, realigns to their abundance, truly moves with that understanding, does not feel the negative effect of the bill any longer, and winds up paying it. So they have immediately transformed, giving themselves a loving nudge here and there. It need not be difficult. It can be difficult. It is and can be simple. You get to choose. All right?
Okay, if I could just add something for the people who are listening. The book I'm talking about is Channel Information from Syrians, and we are supposed to go through these 5 or 6 days of complete darkness and ice age and no electrical appliances working and all kinds of stuff. So when this kind of information comes up, if you can say something for my confusion.
It is, by the way, not to invalidate any source, not my perspective that will occur. It is not my understanding with my, perhaps you can say, ability to scan the neighborhood that will happen. But you get to decide. You attracted both notions. You get to decide which you will be. So both have been of service. Both are opportunities to align.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you. I have done nothing. Shedding. Hey, Smail.
Elan, hi.
Greetings.
My son Duncan's with me tonight, and I'd just like to introduce you two. I think you already know each other, but
Well, hello.
it was all synchronistic that he came with me tonight, so I trusted that. I'd like to briefly review my last week. A lot of things happened that I could easily label negative. Right now, I don't feel like they were negative things.
All right. Right now, they were not. When you assess them to be, perhaps you got that effect, so you can say that they were. Both times, they were neutral symbols that you were labeling and getting the effect from. Do proceed.
Well, overall, I feel like I'm at yet another threshold, I'm at a very powerful point.
All right. Not to cut you off, but stop. Therefore, pay particular attention to what I have discussed with you. No accident that I pick the topic that I pick. It applies across the board to everyone that's present. There is a collective sensing, not to get too cosmic about it, that occurs when I choose what it is that I will share with all of you. And you will find to whatever degree you will acknowledge it, it will apply to you. And very many times answer the very question that you will ask. So, without needing to go into a personal synopsis, unless of course you desire to, apply what I have said. That is the next tool that you have attracted to accelerate your awareness. And as you sit and synopsisize yourself, you will see how you can apply it. Well, I believed I was this. This happened. Did I use it to reaffirm who I am, or did I use it to talk me out? Well, I used it to talk me out until Wednesday. Wednesday I remembered, and so on and so forth. Look at it from the light of the opportunity to realign, to align yourself. And many of the questions that you will ask will answer themselves, which is, by the way, part of my function.
Absolutely. And the symbols are getting louder and louder.
Well, when you acknowledge an opportunity, it transforms. Symbols are not around to bother you, to be obnoxious. When you do not heed them, when you allow them to, again, perhaps, and I'm being very colloquial with the language at hand that is present, that is available, when you allow them to talk you out of, they get louder. Because you wish to look at the issue. You wish to transform that awareness. So perhaps my advice, if you wish to call it that, is to, as you decide and establish who you are, utilize the animal upon your planet called a mule and be as stubborn.
It seems that I'm perpetuating this thing to a point that is, the symbols are becoming extreme and almost violent, and in a negative way. My spirits are up. I feel positive about it, but why am I creating these situations that I feel like I'm going to take it to the max, to the very point that I can no longer take it?
Is that the only point at which you will listen to yourself? Or can you simply proceed from this moment forward as the person that you know you are, expressing that excitement and balancing it with integrity?
Then why must I test myself to this point? I don't choose to do that. And that's not what I desire.
So you are deciding to be a person who no longer needs to test themselves. As you use the opportunity and align with it, you, in a sense, nullify the test question. You use it. Symbol comes along, you use it. It transforms. Symbol comes along, you don't use it. It gets louder if it's something that you insist that you must hear. Function in the situations that you are creating as the person you've decided to be, not as its reciprocal, its opposite.
So these symbols that I'm creating seem to be telling me, I'm telling myself to really get moving on what I need to do, right? For instance, falling off a ladder 14 feet, it's like that's a powerful symbol. And I knew I didn't want to be there doing what I was doing.
All right. What is so mysterious about that?
Nothing. but I thought getting off the...
So in other words, what you are telling me is it's beginning to get painful to perpetuate being the person you do not prefer. Ace?
Right. Okay.
Perhaps if you use the opportunity, you will not, quote unquote, fall from your intention.
Okay. And I had words of incarceration spoke to me also, which is pretty negative.
Well, this is a symbol that has been explored by you before, not being incarcerated, but the fear of the loss of your freedom. Ace?
Yes.
All right. What did you come up with when you had looked at this before?
Life is a paradox.
Now.
That's true, though. It's like I am, I'm not. I exist, I don't exist. It's just, I'm not sure what is going on.
Well, first of all, you are. And when you are saying you are not, you are and saying you are not. You still are. Language gets very interesting here.
So what's going on? I mean, I'm at a loss for words right now.
I will, as you say, cut through it without having to, as you say, air your laundry. But the idea is you have ignored the opportunities to realign yourself to do what it is you wish to do because you still express the decision that what you wish to do will not support you.
Yes.
All right. No big mystery.
What do I have to do to trust that it will?
You have to first make the decision that it will. You have to be more intentionful about that. You say you've made that decision, but the first thing that you create to challenge that decision, you back down from that decision.
Right.
That is why we, again, drew your attention to the beginning of this interaction and spoke about what we did. Begin to apply, if you wish, what I have said and shared with you from this point forward, which is all you have, this point, right now. You have an illustrative, historical example of what doesn't work. Now begin to heed the opportunities and use them to align. Opportunities of alignment. All right?
All right.
You will tell a different story when you do so, if you should choose to. It is always up to you. No one will force you to have too much fun or be too ecstatic. It is no one's job but your own.
I know that. Yeah.
May I ask you a question?
Please.
Do you feel that you deserve what you desire?
Yes.
Really?
Because that was a big one for me in this past year.
Oh.
I really feel I do deserve what I'm looking at.
Do you remind yourself of that? Or do you sometimes use the reflections as evidence that perhaps you don't deserve it?
Is this similar? I don't trust that I'm worth it. Yeah, it is similar.
It is similar. But you do trust that that you are worth it, and you don't trust. It is not one or the other. All of you contain all beliefs. You believe you love yourself, you believe you do not. It is not a matter of getting one belief and getting rid of the other. You contain them both. The decision in the moment is calling one forth, is being one of those ideas. And then you provide, if again there are issues surrounding this, opportunities to realign to that decision. So you do deserve it. And allow things to point out to you that, yes, even in this circumstance, I know I do deserve it, but don't stop there. State the complete decision. I am the person who does my passion with integrity and allows it to support me because I deserve it. And again, don't factor out the integrity. That is perhaps where what you call the symbol of incarceration enters into it. Understood? At least conceptually.
Yes, definitely.
I thank you.
Thank you very much.
Female.
It's so nice to hear your voice.
Oh, thank you. It is not my voice, but I understand. It is the melodious voice of the channel.
Well, His voice is nice too.
All right. He will be happy to hear that.
I would like to know if you could help me through a practical exercise of what you just talked about tonight.
All right. We already provided one. Were you listening to that?
I did listen.
It applies.
I know,
All right.
but not practical enough. Let's talk about cars again. This is where we were 4 months ago, last time I was here.
Well, not exactly. You are the new person now saying that you are in the same place, making that decision. But go on.
Okay, I'm now absolutely, by the fact my car is falling apart, seriously looking for a new car. My finances tell me you can't get a new car because you can't afford it.
One moment. Your what tells you what? Your decision is being made utilizing certain evidence. Now, perhaps your checkbook is empty. But if you are an abundant person, that will not talk you out of the fact that I need a new car, and I need one real soon. And I deserve and decide to get the new car.
Well, my actions have shown that must be my belief, because I go looking for a car and decide that I'm not going to buy a junky car because I deserve a car that feels good.
All right. That is part of the process of feedback.
Okay. So I do that, and then the salesman tells me what it will cost, and then I don't trust something. I get scared.
Well, I remind you, you always trust something. Then you do trust something. You simply trust in the thing you don't prefer.
Right.
All right.
And I cannot see. I tend to continually say to myself, I deserve, and I have a wonderful feeling of deservability lately.
As opposed to a lousy feeling of deservability?
Yeah, well, that's right.
Playing with your language, proceed.
So the problem comes in that my belief in deservability says go and buy this car. And then I say, well, how am I going to pay for this? But I deserve it, so I can do it. Well, I don't have a job, and I can't bring myself to find one or get one.
Well, how will you get there? Your car is falling apart.
Okay. So I say to myself, I'm going to buy this.
So were you to act on what you feel very strongly is a reflection of who you are, you would then possess a new tool to be able to then express the next thing that would be representative of who you are.
And trust that, in fact, I will find a way to pay for it.
Well, if that is what you decide. But perhaps what you decide is to use it to do something that truly excites you. And then the actions and results that are generated from that automatically, through, again, the realignment to the decision that you are abundant, to do that, again, automatically. Do not need to fixate on it. And truly, by saying, oh, I'll be able to pay it, I'll be able to pay it, I'll be able to pay it, are really saying, I don't think I can pay it. I don't know how I'm possibly going to pay it.
Well, I do get a sense that the decision to purchase a car that feels good is a way of empowering myself.
All right.
And I do have a sense that when I make that decision and take that action, there will be a very large leap in empowerment.
All right. So you are driving your way to higher consciousness, yes?
Right. Okay. So that feels good.
As you say in your society, happy trails.
Thank you.
I thank you. Ace, female.
I have a question about a puzzling dream as far as realigning, what I would really like to do.
Oh.
I want your help with it.
Puzzling, all right.
Yes, well, it's like a puzzle because in my dream, I'm in my house and the doorbell rings and I go and I open the door and there's a little small Oriental woman standing there with this little tiny baby that's only about 9 inches long. And the little baby looks like a Zeta baby. And the neck is very skinny and the head is all flopping around. And she's standing there absolutely motionless. And she's like, I can't take care of this anymore. And so she passes it to me. And so my first instinct is to take it. And I said, oh my goodness, first you've got to get it warm and you've got to cover it up. You've got to cuddle it. You've got to take care of it. Then the dream switches and I'm still in my living room, but my mother-in-law is sitting there and I'm telling her about this baby. And I go to the closet and I open the door, and the baby is now like a human baby, about 9 months old, sitting up very strong and smiling warmly at me. And I pick up the baby and I show it to my mother-in-law, and she can't bear to look at it. She picks it up, throws it on the floor, and it shrinks till it's only about 5 inches small. So I know I must. She's very weak, and it's a little girl, and she's barely alive. And I know I must feed her. And I realized suddenly that there's a little packet in a clear plastic material about 1.5 inches wide that's to be opened and help this tiny infant. And there are tiny little crystalline pellets of some sort inside. And when I try to open it up to help her, it explodes in my face with a very bright light and a big bang, and I wake up.
Ah, how creative. For a moment,
Yes.
remove the mystery. Assume that the elements in the dream are you.
Okay.
Assume that what you are nurturing
Myself.
is yourself, is perhaps what you refer to as that childlike spark within you.
Okay.
And also utilize the more obvious symbols of things that perhaps you have utilized, perhaps you have used to allow yourself to suppress that. Do you get along with your mother-in-law?
Sometimes.
All right.
Mostly.
Do you feel that you allow her to suppress that within you? Do you act differently around her?
Yes, I used to, and I'm not anymore.
All right.
And it brings out a reflection in her that I don't like. And I've always kind of avoided that before, but I was kind of hoping that.
Hoping, avoiding, all right. That reflection, interacting with that final reflection from her is the point. There are integrated ways of interacting with all these symbols, unconditionally loving ways to do so. But it is a very creative set of props and symbols to allow yourself to hone into the certain things that are involved.
Okay.
Does it make more sense?
Yes.
All right. Now there is another connection, but I will allow you to ponder that as well.
Well, I thought maybe our connection with the Zetas
Nice.
is helping us to learn to nurture ourselves
Ah,
and the child within us, which is me anyway.
very interesting. Have not heard you men say that before. Very fascinating, very creative, very useful to any of you out there who are listening. I thank you.
Thank you.
So do they. Shedding mail. Hi.
I'm kind of interested in what actually happened 25,000 years ago to separate us, to make us more focused.
All right. A decision. Individuals assume it to be an external set of props because they often represent this reality as being a jail. But in actuality, it was perhaps what you would call loosely a mass conscious decision to explore a finite degree of focus and the ramifications to feeling and experiencing and expressing that degree of focus. Now, this is what the foundational answer is. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Can you take that much responsibility for choosing to participate in the unique reality that you are within, or seeming to be within?
Yeah, it makes sense.
All right.
Was there like a sinking of the, was it more than just the decision? I mean, was that the sinking of Atlantis or something like that?
What you would refer to as that phenomenon would be more recent historically. Perhaps you will understand it to be the beginning of several societies or civilizations that interact in a hierarchical structure, for lack of better terminology.
I have one more question. That's can you give us your interpretation of what the harmonic convergence was? I read something that said that it was a supernova that blew up, and that Mayan tribes, or it was involved, but small particles burst into these the solar system, but that's just, I was wondering.
There are what you would call celestial reflections or occurrences that may represent that particular thing, but in actuality, once again, to bring it all home, it was a consciousness-oriented phenomenon. It was the result of certain momentums, intersections of consciousness, of awareness, of what you would call acceleration of the awareness of consciousness. Foundationally, it was an awareness event, a consciousness threshold. The reflections, again, may contain some of this physical phenomena. But basically, it was a threshold that your mass consciousness created that did allow an acceleration en masse. Oh, I thank you. We will pause for a short break of 10 to 15 minutes of your counting and resume contact after that time. All right, I'll say before we continue, allow me to share this with you. We sometimes speak of the fact that we do interact with other societies other than your own. Earlier, I mentioned that your degree of focus of consciousness as a society was rather unique. And also mentioned that many other societies out there do create less of a separation, less of a focus. And this will take various physical forms, since all physical is a reflection of consciousness. For instance, in your particular society, believing that you exist within a reality as a separate element or separate expression in an external reality, you will assume that you do not have everything you need on your own. And one of the physical reflections, byproducts of this, is what you call physical eating. The need to take in sustenance from the environment in such a way where you could not live without it. And then you digest, absorb, and then, as you say, excrete a byproduct, which is far different from the initial intake material. This is a reflection, an expression of what you sometimes refer to as sustenance. As you begin to expand your awareness, as you begin to express yourselves as being more connected to your environment, being an aspect, or your environment being an aspect within you, what you call physical eating will change its form. Eventually, you will seem to exchange energy or sustenance, or very literally forms of light, with your very environment itself without needing to intake something and digest it and change its form. Our particular society, although we did eat in much the same way that you do initially, no longer needs to eat. We sometimes do eat, we still have a mouth, we still have what you call a rudimentary system of absorption, but it is largely symbolic. Perhaps you can say in many ways, we eat for the fun of it. We exchange or absorb, perhaps you can say, energy with our environment directly, but even this is understood to be occurring within us. The environment that we exchange with is still understood to be part of us and not separate from us. Our particular society, as your society transforms into a less limited point of view, are beginning to simultaneously transform into being non-physical. For when you expand your awareness to a certain point, you literally no longer express yourself in what you call embodiment, or in a body, or as a body. For you are not literally within your body anyway, your body is within your consciousness. On a gradient, there are other forms that societies that express themselves as more an integral part of or expression of their reality will express in terms of how they, perhaps you can say, eat. And I will provide one example. There is a society that we are aware of. They are largely perhaps what you would refer to as telepathic, although even that is a misnomer, for they do not think in the way that you think. They are humaniform, meaning they have a head, 2 arms, 2 legs. But their system is more akin to what you call the plant life upon your planet. They, and I will be very loose in the terminology, this is not a direct comparison, it is an analogy. But perhaps you may say that they function more on the basis of photosynthesis than actual absorption, digestion, and excretion. They have a very interesting way of exchanging energy with their environment that we find most fascinating. Their method of photosynthetic absorption, and again I am using this as an analogy, it is not quite the same as the plant photosynthesis upon your planet, is fascinatingly enough internal. In other words, they do not absorb light through their skin to convert and reassign the values of energy that they then quote-unquote expend as physical beings. They have what you would call a very rudimentary, a very basic system of absorption, but it is not a system of digestion. They do not literally need to take in anything and change its form in order to express their understanding of exchange with their environment. How they, quote unquote, and I am using the term loosely, eat is as follows. They have what you would call very smooth, crystalline-like rock substance. They lay them out on perhaps what you would call a table, it is not an exact analogy, and allow them to absorb what you would call the starlight or sunlight of and on their planet over what you would call a period of one of their days' time. These particular crystalline structures then absorb what you call the sunlight aspects of it and begin to, as you say, glow or radiate. The beings then ingest these crystalline rock-like structures. Their skin is, shall I say, opaque, but still somewhat transparent. So when they place the structure in what you would call their mouth, you can see the emanating, the glowing, through what you would perhaps loosely refer to as their cheek structure. As the crystal passes through their rudimentary system of absorption, you can watch that glowing crystal as it moves down slowly through their system. Though what you will notice is that as it does, it glows less and less. They, quote unquote, and this is not the way they represent it, but it is the way you would seem to understand it, absorb the light that they had, quote unquote, stored within the crystalline structure. They then, shall I say, evacuate the stone in its original form, put them back on the table, and go about their business. And this is one particular differing kind of form where they do not feel the need to take something in, transform it, and have the sustenance provided. They, in a very natural state, understand that everything is just an exchange of energy and utilize that symbol to express it. There are many different forms of this throughout the multiverse in the many different societies, but this is one that we had not mentioned before and thought that you might, perhaps you do not, but might find it fascinating. Therefore, they have their own way of getting their rocks off. All right, third density humor is not my strong point. I thank you for indulging me. Do understand, however, that what I am saying is a true expression. There is such a race. Perhaps one day you will become aware of them. Do not try to water them. All right. I thank you once again and say shitting.
Elan.
Female.
Hello.
Greetings, O shining one.
It's nice to talk to you again.
I thank you, and you as well.
Thank you very much for helping me like you have in the past months.
Oh, never helped you. You helped yourself. Thank you. Pat yourself on the back.
I would like to know, my friend, she saw what she says is a UFO. It was in a triangle-like form, but one top end was cut off, and it had blue, red, white, and blue and green lights that were blinking. I would like to know, what kind is it, and why was it just shown to her
Did she see it in what you call day or night?
at night?
All right, one moment. When?
She said a few years ago.
Can you be more specific?
Not really.
One moment. At this time, it is not obvious to me. Therefore, either it is simply something that I am not aware of, or she may have misidentified something else.
Thank you very much. Anyhow.
One moment. What else?
Let me think. I had a question on, oh man, I just forgot what it was called.
Describe it.
It was in, Stonehenge is the name.
All right.
I want to know, was any of your kind involved in help making it?
Not really. In a sense, you may understand the population of your planet are responsible for it, and the particular alignments were utilized in what you call various ceremonies that took into account certain what you would call celestial alignments or alignments of the stars and planets and the sun.
Okay, thank you very much.
Well, thank you. Chitting.
Elan.
Female.
I just want to ask about Jupiter, the impact of that comet, how it affected our universe and directly to the Earth in general, how it will be in our lives. Does it have any bearing?
It depends how you look at it. First of all, understand, it will not have any bearing on affecting you in any external way other than something that you may create to participate in using that as a particular reason. It was a very nice fireworks show and represents your planet's ability to begin to behold and expand out your awareness into more of your, shall I say, general neighborhood. But it is not my particular perspective that what you call celestial events have an actual controlling factor in anything that occurs in your life. They may allow you to be aware of certain momentums. They may allow you to be aware of certain ideas. But ultimately, they are more the wallpaper than the wall. Do you understand?
Yes, I do.
In general, though, it will represent the fact that your technology now enables you to see more and more of your neighborhood, which is a part of your expansion, both individually but also collectively. Now, you will hear various interpretations of this, and many individuals will say, well, I did this because the comet hit Jupiter. All right, perhaps that is so, but because of their decision, not because of any fragment impact itself. Perhaps something has occurred in their life that is impactful. And in that sense, the comet would be a reflection of their internal event. So it depends how you look at it. Was there something specific you are seeking?
No, I just wanted to know how it affected our universe and if it had any different, it would, show us or help. There's always things are always evolved to a different level, and I didn't know if it affected
Well, in a sense, it represents, because of your expanded awareness, that you are opening up to new things. It also allows you, because of the physical phenomenon, to explore more about your particular, shall I say, solar system. So much of the information much of the instrumentation that recorded the information will allow you to expand your knowledge of the composition, the physical composition of aspects of your solar system. It was, in a sense, beholded or seen by others as well. I personally, shall I say, witnessed it from my craft in perhaps you can say a slightly better seat. But it is not as uncommon as you would believe.
Yes.
Now you are simply able to see more of the fireworks that will occur in your solar system. And the mere fact that that was detected was through a series of coincidences, because there are more eyes toward the sky. So it is symbolic of that very largely. All right.
Yes, and then I just have one personal question in a way. I have an elderly mother, and she has seen all her 6, 7 children. There's 7, and I just wonder why she, in her condition, why she's just hanging on to the life she has here, the way she is in her nursing home. Is there?
May I ask you a simple and perhaps obvious question? Have you asked her?
Well, she had a stroke and she has brain damage, and so she can't really talk.
Can she, as you say, write or communicate in any discrete fashion?
No, and she doesn't focus. And it'd be good if you got a yes or no out of her on her food eating when you feed her. She can't feed herself. In the situation she's in, I was the last one to go and see her this summer, and I just thought at least she was there enough for me to see her, and I just wondered, I told her it was fine, she could go anytime. We were all happy that we were able to visit with her, but she's still hanging on.
All right. Do understand that whatever your form of awareness is, even if it differs from what you would consider to be a pleasant and controlled form of awareness, it is a perceptive state whereby consciousness is perceiving through a certain set of factors or parameters. So perhaps you can understand, at least from her point of view, that the unique advantage in having such a focus would be quite a personal, shall I say, concern of her own.
Okay, so something she just chose that she's feeling that she would like to experience yet to hear before she passes on.
Exactly, and to the degree you will generally interpret that she is not aware of this, and that, not realizing, well, she is aware of something, and that something is her exploration.
Okay.
More, perhaps you can say, of a specialist even than yourself at this time in terms of limited focus.
It's fine.
Finite.
No, it's fine what you shared with me.
Nice.
Thank you.
Just making a word play.
Oh.
Elan,
Ice.
greetings.
And to you. Good
My
day.
first subject area has to do with aging.
All right.
Over the last few months, I've actually felt as though I'm maybe getting younger mentally and physically. Is that possible?
Well, you tell me. Are you defining age as the expression of your vitality, or are you defining it as physical age of the body? Your vitality can be expressed and increased at any time. So it simply depends on the elaborate set of definitions that your particular society places on these notions. To answer your question more directly, yes, you could get the effect of feeling younger, absolutely. If you feel a younger person acts this way and you act that way, you will feel your version of what a younger person would feel.
Since our clock ticks on, then chronologically, obviously, I am getting older. But anyway.
One moment.
Okay.
Getting physically older and degrading are two completely separate matters. One of the decisions, one of the notions that individuals upon your planet buy into is that aging equals disintegration, that aging equals breaking down. So they trust in that decision. They live the results of that decision. Oh, I'm 70 now, can't walk around the block anymore. They act that way. And so you see the evidence because of the societal approach, the societal tendency to equate age with falling apart. but it need not mean that. Aging can also represent increased awareness, vitality, excitement, passion, living life to the fullest, with the benefit of the increased awareness on a conscious level.
I like what you're saying.
You need not look at aging as being one day closer to death. You can look at it as having one more day of life. And it will depend upon your point of view.
I think I've heard both you and Bashar indicate that our physical body and maybe brain also are capable potentially of like 300 years of life. And my question is, what would be the major factors that should exist were we to achieve 300 years? How would we live or believe to achieve that?
Well, basically, you would live the decision not in denial, but in acknowledgement that such a thing were possible, and merely have enough things to do that you are excited about to be too busy to die. Now, this sounds like humor, but it is quite literal. Generally, now there are exceptions. Understand, there are as many explorations specifically as there are individuals upon your planet, billions. But generally people die when they don't have anything left to do. Generally. Or they feel that they do not. This does not mean that the opportunities do not surround them abundantly. They do. It is a determination. Maybe a conscious determination, maybe one that they are consciously remaining unknowing about. But if you begin to decide consciously who you are just too busy.
How important, for example, would be good nutrition in that situation?
Again, that will depend completely on the belief that you are expressing. If you believe that that is essential, and then do the opposite, you will create a dynamic. You will create a friction. If you can understand that what you call physical nourishment is simply the matter of trusting yourself, trusting your timing, trusting your body, eating when you feel like it, not eating when you don't, going about your business, not judging what you eat, judging what you want, you will find that you will reach an equilibrium. And generally, by the way, eat less. But that is neither here nor there.
Because I've had the idea that put some molecules and atoms into your body and your body's going to make use of it.
All right. That is one way to look at it. I would suggest until you radically shift your belief not to swallow rocks, but it is up to you.
Does the same answer apply to regular exercise?
Generally, again, that will depend upon your belief. Automatically, if you are engaged in your reality, due to the nature of the way you create space and time and moving things around within your reality, if you are engaged in your excitement, in your passion, with integrity, you are moving your body. Whether or not you need to purposely put aside a time to do so to make up for the rest of the time that you are truly doing things that aren't representative of who you are, which may take the form of being sedentary, both as a symbol and literally, then what you call the need, self-determined for exercise makes sense. But if you are engaged in the living of your life, being who you are, that is a very busy activity. And you need not put aside time to do so. Do you understand the distinction?
Yes, I believe I do.
All right.
Can I switch to one other quick? Our mutual acquaintance, Tirja, who you know, has asked me to ask you a question.
All right.
She is doing some mental health work, going into people's homes who have mental health problems, and some of them have a history of violence. And she ends up maybe as much as 2 or 3 hours in their home, and they're even maybe talking to her about some of their dreams or activities of using a knife to cut people up. And she's feeling pretty uncomfortable about this.
All right.
And she wonders whether, and she's even had a dream or two, I believe, where somehow she feels she's being attacked with somebody with a knife to cut her up. And her question is, might some of her past lives that she had experienced this, and that's why she's feeling so unsafe. She's going in alone, unattended, just all alone into these situations that she feels are dangerous. Can you give her any comments?
Well, first of all, and again, because she is not physically present to answer, it becomes a bit difficult to be complete. But the idea is, why does she find herself in such situations? Why does she remain in such situations? What is it she hopes to accomplish by doing so? Where does her excitement lie in perpetuating such a situation? Is she taking responsibility for another individual? There are many, many questions that would come up now. But she, in that sense, by extension, would advantage more by being able to answer them and continue the line of thinking. But I would at first steer her toward looking at some of these foundational reasons for doing what she is doing, what she hopes to accomplish, and what her intention is in that situation.
Her original understanding with her employer was that she would not be going alone into these situations. So she has decided to very strongly assert herself that she has to have that original agreement honored, or she's not going into those situations that she feels unsafe.
Quite a reasonable request, and that situation to assert herself, to reestablish the decision of who she is and not let the circumstances dictate to her, is definitely one of the explorations.
But she's going to ask me, well, did Elan say that in her past lives she did have such a violent experience and it's coming back to her?
May I be succinct?
Please.
You have all lived thousands of past lives. Only remember a few if you remember them at all, because in those few you may have explored similar things as to this one. Otherwise, they are completely irrelevant to you in this life. So yes, you all have lived lives where you have reaped great violence, received great violence. But does that really need to have anything to do with now, other than someone's insistence on rationalizing their present set of circumstance to some external source that they can do nothing about? Perhaps to capsulize, in your past lives you've done it all. So why are you focusing, or why is she focusing on that? Make believe for a moment, just in terms of how you act and put out, that there is no past life. And look at the meanings in this life. Look at the definitions in this situation. Be here now, literally, and use what's right in front of you. That would be my particular perspective.
Good. I think she can find that useful. Thank you.
All right. I thank you as well. Female.
Yes, I have a question that has to do with predictions that have been made about what's going to happen on this planet.
All right.
It has to do with the year 2000 in May
All right.
in May the 5th, where there's supposed to be an alignment of planets to such an extent that their gravitational pull on the Earth will cause something to happen. Something not good, like kinds of cataclysms and tidal waves and earthquakes. Can you speak to that? Do you see?
There is an alignment in a sense of a two-dimensional viewpoint from a three-dimensional viewpoint, which is often not taken into consideration when making these determinations. There are certain staggerings in that alignment that create a certain balance. It is unlikely that the degree of cataclysmic event will occur that is generally referred to, generally predicted. Understand that throughout your history, in what you call the turning of the millennium, there were always such predictions. The turning of the millennium, the changing of what you call the millennium, is symbolic and does represent change, stepping into a new age in very many ways. But it need not be interpreted as having to be such negative change. In the past, change meant great revolt. So oppressive were many structures. The only way that change could be interpreted was by a breaking down of the structure. So many of the predictions are simply sensings of great change and do not take into consideration dynamics that are now in place, which allow the transition, allow the change to be more smooth, that no longer require the shaking down and breaking down and fall of civilization in order to have a rebirth. Therefore, it is my perspective that you may experience certain events. Perhaps you can say increased seismic activity. Perhaps you can say the occurrence of certain electromagnetic phenomena. But whereas now this occurs on your planet and certain people experience it, many or most are not even aware of it unless they turn on what you call your television, and it will be similar. Already, many of these things are occurring on your planet. They have been for quite some time. So from many of your perspective, there will be no difference in the quantity of these phenomena. Understand?
I think so. People say predictions of people like Nostradamus,
who existed in a time where when he made those predictions, the society was so oppressive that he could not even come out and say them literally and had to disguise them as literature. So therefore, obviously, the interpretation of many of these events would be through the convention of the times in which he lived. Some of them do seem to literally come true, and others will not. Others have not.
one of the things that I've often thought about is that these predictions of changes or end of the world kinds of things are not necessarily a physical end of the world, but more like a change of the world as we know it, which sort of has to do with the things you are saying about moving onto another level of consciousness.
Quite literally.
Right. So I guess what I'm trying to say is there've been those predictions for the year 2000, and it sounds like what you're saying is that basically you see a change, but not necessarily a cataclysmic kind of change, but a change in the view of the consciousness of the people on this planet.
And you will find, as the days, the weeks, the months, the years roll by, individuals more and more are beginning to entertain many of the things we are discussing. That generally will reach what you call, again, for lack of better terminology, and I do not mean this in the negative sense, a critical mass or a threshold. Now, it is my particular prediction. Everyone else gets a prediction. I might as well take one. that particular threshold will more be reached approximately your 2012, 2015 year, with another wave of it approximately your 2020, 2025 year. But that is simply based on the energy as it is available now and can simply change with one person's decision, one person's change. One person makes a difference. And it is only the person who decides to realize, to make that real, expressing that as a decision with trust and action, that is all it takes to see this. But it is unlikely that a single person will be the seeming source of the change. It will be that seeming person within all of you. Is this addressing the point?
Yes, I think so. I've often wondered too if all of these television programs that are coming on now are a way of just making people more aware of the different possibilities.
Well, absolutely. But understand that you are all collectively daydreaming as you expand your awareness of the possibilities, and certain people are in the position to make them into TV special of the week.
Okay, thank you. And I'd also like to thank you for the help that you've given me in the past, and some things are working perfectly, and for those I'm very grateful.
Oh, all right. I thank you for helping yourself and using me as an excuse. But to understand, you need not stop with the some things.
Oh no, I intend to work towards the others, but there are some that are just perfect right now, and I'm using those as an example that the others will become perfect.
All right. When an opportunity comes of alignment, you can utilize what you call the positive circumstance to bolster yourself. You can utilize them in a positive way, but still it would require for you to go the next step, so to speak, to reassert the decision. Not because there's anything out there that would seem to indicate it, because you say so.
That's the important part, to reassert the decision and to go with that decision no matter what else happens.
Each individual is constantly, shall I say, offered options. You offer those options, by the way, to yourself. But always when you choose, you are choosing from an available option, of which the word option presupposes there are other options. So pick and choose your options consciously. There is always an option of empowerment in any given situation. Sometimes it is not to use the situational mechanics as evidence, but utilize your knowingness, your intention. Intention is a direct expression of conscious creatorhood. Intention may sometimes imply, this is not what's in place right now, but I intend it to be in place. And the fact that it's not in place right now reminds me that I intend it. Opportunities of alignment. All right?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Mail.
Yes, Elan. I have a few questions concerning the way we relate to each other on our planet. In terms right now, the United States is poised to invade a country to the south of us called Haiti. And my own feelings around that, and I had some confusion of this. I mean, hearing some of the things you say, it would seem to suggest that we would allow the people in Haiti to solve their own problems, that they are responsible for creating their reality the way it is, and we would trust them that they have the power to do what it is that they need to do to work through the situation.
Is that your personal perspective? Understand the quote-unquote individuals with their quote-unquote finger on the trigger may have a whole different set of how to look at it. But is that your personal point of view? There is your personal point of view, and then there is your perception of the point of view of others. Allow me to say before you proceed, that was perhaps a rhetorical question. Violence is the same as violence. Condoning violence is expressing violence. Not saying, no, I don't agree with violence, and then being violent. Do proceed.
My own personal view, I contain both views. I also contain the view that if, like, someone is a thug on a playground, to use an analogy, and he's bullying everyone around, that the people, if enough of the other children would get together and decide, we do not allow this type of behavior on this playground. You can bully yourself if you want over there or whatever. But there's a collective decision and the other children come together. And then the bully is not enabled to oppress or dictate to the other children on the playground.
All right, but they need not beat him up in the process. They can simply show their unity and their simultaneous distaste and posture.
So I'm looking to understand a way that, like, our United Nations could approach a problem like this, that would respect the integrity of all the people, that would not be there in violence, but would be there in the support of a more unified and peaceful way of existing with each other. Is that possible for us to have that?
Absolutely. But do understand that you are simplifying what you would call a very complex set of situations and circumstance. So therefore, perhaps you can say, I would not be able to give you an overall blanket answer that would address the multifaceted aspects of this particular situation. we do not approach things the same way upon our planet. So in a situation such as that, we don't necessarily formulate advice as much as perk up and watch what happens. Do understand it is not simply a matter of a bully and people coming together to quell the bully. There is what you call many political overtones to what is going on from both sides. And it becomes, perhaps you can say, a bit too complex for the purposes of this interaction to discuss the very, very intricate dynamics. But my particular approach in a similar situation would have never issued such what you call military threat to begin with. So already you have a set of circumstances in order that would not be our approach, and not finding ourselves in the situation, we would never have the reason to make any decision of what to do in it. And it becomes again largely a matter of something that we will witness, trusting in a positive outcome.
So if you were president of our United States, you might extend your friendship to the people of Haiti, extend your trust that they will work things out for themselves. You would not be bullying, or you would not be sending threats of military intervention or that type of approach.
Regardless, and again, this is quite hypothetical, I am not a politician. I would analyze the situation from all its aspects, and having that degree of information, have many, many different options, many of which have not been discussed. So again, we are speaking hypothetical. What if? What if? I am not in that situation. But I can guarantee you, no matter what my conclusion was, based on the evidence, based on the options, reaping violence would not be necessary. I apologize, I do not mean to be so vague, but you are asking a complex question and asking for one simple answer from beings who do not even express any degree of violence.
Well, I guess we have some complex problems on this planet. And
you have complex situations that will allow you to all learn no matter what course of action is taken, and will allow you to each decide in a similar situation what you would do. Now, a similar situation would take the form of perhaps individuals in your life. If what you perceive results in what you define as mistakes having been made, that gives you the opportunity through awareness of not making a similar mistake in a dynamic that would arise in your own life from the lesson learned. So all you can really do is be aware of what is occurring, use it to your own positive advantage. By all means, if you disagree with the action being taken, write a letter, make a phone call, take the action consistent with being that person. But that is the only option available for you. You do not have the option to withdraw the troops personally, but you certainly have the option to formulate your awareness and understandings about the situation if you should so choose to keep being aware of it to begin with.
Well, it attracts my interest, and I do take opportunity to voice my opinions to our leadership. And I seek to have some amount of wisdom and some sense of knowing which way to go with that.
Are you aware of all the complex dynamics?
No, that would seem impossible for any one person to be.
Well, that is not so, but I understand what you are saying. So from the degree that you are aware of it, you generate a conclusion and you let that conclusion be heard. In your circumstances, those are your only options. And that makes a difference in your life. If it makes a positive difference in your life, this seeming external situation has occurred, had whatever ramifications it had, and you derived positive feedback and increased your awareness through it. So it at least also had that effect. Does this make sense?
It makes some. I'm taking in a lot of information and trying as best I can to integrate it.
All right. Integrate it. You need not try. All right. One moment. Is that all?
Yes, that's all. Thank you very much.
All right.
Elan.
One moment. From your perspective, everything you attract is a symbol that you can use. It is either a block, a hurdle, or it facilitates your understanding. If you allow yourself to be hungry, to use all situations that you become aware of, to grow and to accelerate your awareness, you will get a positive effect out of them that then will enable you again to do certain things that will actually make the world, quote unquote, the external world, a more inviting, exciting, and positive place. So assume that you have created not the situation necessarily, although on some level you have. Assume that you have created an awareness of it for a reason. And allow yourself to use in whatever way you can, whatever you learn from it, in a positive way.
That's helpful.
Oh.
So my fascination and my interest in all the things of the world, whether or not my personal view will shift anything, is of benefit.
Well, when you shift your personal view, you shift your entire reality.
Yes.
Not a minor thing, a major thing in your reality. And as your reality changes internally, the external reality changes to fall into suit. And your perception of it will change. What you attract, what you become aware of will change to represent the new understanding. So as paradoxical as it seems, as different as it may seem for how you have approached your life heretofore, use it in a positive way, whatever that means to you. And if there is an opportunity to interact physically in the situation that is practical and within your excitement, by all means do, but that is all you can do. And you are only responsible to others for yourself and your own awareness. Does that assist?
Yes.
I
That is
thank you.
helpful. Thank you.
Mail.
Juan, my name is Phil Hayden. I'll try and keep this brief because it's personal.
All right. Greetings. We've met.
Yes, we did. And it's nice to speak with you.
And you as well.
I had a terrible affliction for about the last 18 months. I have a problem with my skin that it cracks and has gotten very dry and it's very difficult to use my hands. And I wonder if you can tell me how I can overcome this problem. It's been a real problem for me for a year and a half. I never had the problem before. And all of a sudden I have a difficult time with my skin.
All right. What are you already doing for it in terms of what you generally refer to as treatment?
I've been to about 4 different doctors. I've been to a medical center, tried all kinds of different things medically, but I believe in what you're teaching us. I mentally must be creating this for myself, and I'd like to know how I can overcome this problem.
All right. First of all, transforming something is far different from overcoming it. Overcoming it already implies that it is such an obstacle as to not be removed. So therefore, first of all, think in terms of transforming it, allowing it to serve you so that it can move on. It is a symbol. Now, understandably, there are certain things that perhaps you have not been able to, quote unquote, do with your hands that you used to, yes?
That's true.
And you have concentrated upon this, yes?
Not really. I try and operate as best I can with what I have, but I would like to move on past this and get my skin back again.
All right. It is all your skin.
Yes, it is.
All right. First of all, understand that what you call your skin is you. It is not separate from you. It is not necessarily the barrier you all assume it to be. It is an interface. It is where you perceive your internal environment meets your external environment. But there is also, in this case, the symbol of the hands. And in them being, as you have called it, somewhat incapacitated. What has this forced you to do that you would not have done if this had happened?
Well, I have to think about that question. I've had the problem both with my hands and my legs, but primarily my hands.
All right. When you picture your hands, answer honestly. Do you picture them as getting worse, or do you picture them in their healthful state?
Well, I picture them in their healthful state and would like to return to that I've always had.
Do you really picture them in their healthful state? Or do you picture them as they are and perhaps fearing that they will get worse?
Well, that may be true.
All right. Is it or isn't it?
Well, I know I've gotten rather discouraged because I can't seem to get past the problem, but certainly if concentrating on good health will do it, then I need to do that. And I'm just wondering what avenue should I take to, I mean, obviously the doctors haven't solved the problem. I need to solve the problem. I'm wondering if you can tell me how I should meditate or whatever I need to do to get past this problem.
All right. My suggestions would be as follows. Allow yourself to continually picture your hands, what you call mentally, as being already perfect, pliable. Picture yourself in your mind being able to bend your fingers, move it, and then feeling perfectly fine. When you then open your eyes, do not let what you see talk you out of it. It is very akin to what we discussed at the beginning of this interaction. Deciding who you are, trusting that that decision has made a difference, and then acting that way. Now, also because of your physical reality, you can make avail of substances that you feel may accelerate this on a physical level. My suggestion would be to remain as natural because of your complex belief system about this as possible. So what you call natural ointments, natural creams, what you would refer to generally as aloe, and so forth, is something that falls within your own belief system from my understanding. But furthermore, and again, furthermost, is to not allow what you see to talk you out of the decision. You may, in that sense, be saying, I picture my hands as perfect and pliable, opening your eyes and saying, well, obviously they aren't, and perpetuating it through shifting the decision using the external evidence. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Do you understand how that applies to what we have been discussing all evening?
Yes, I do.
Do you think in that sense that that is too simple?
Not if it's possible. Anything is possible, and I'd like to create my healthy hands again, and I think you've tried to give me the avenue to do that.
All right. Then I simply will make one more suggestion. All right? Give yourself a hand.
Thank you for the fun and the advice.
I thank you for allowing me to share what you already know and simply now can apply. What I have spoken of throughout this evening is applicable across the board. You have provided yourself very creatively, generally what some people will refer to as very strong evidence against the decision. But it is truly no different than anything we have discussed situationally. Conviction, decision, trust, conviction, and action is all it takes to transform anything, is all that has allowed you to get to this point to begin with. So play around with that. All right?
Thank you very much.
There will be but a few moments remaining to this interaction. Sharing.
Elan.
Female.
Me?
Ace. Up front more.
Okay, thank you, Elan. I would like to share with you some of the experiences I've had the past few months, and then ask you a question.
All right.
I also got to view Jupiter. I went into one of the chambers here, and from there traveled out to Jupiter to watch the comet hitting, and I did that for my time, just a few moments, but I actually saw one hit.
How was the view?
It was straight on. It was beautiful.
Oh, perhaps I was mistaken saying that I had a better seat.
I like mine really well.
All right. Thank you.
The eye of Jupiter, as we see it, was, or from our photographs that we usually have, what I saw, it was actually redder.
Well, also swirling, moving noticeably.
I noticed the color.
Oh.
I guess I was just so surprised.
Simply making a distinction that you do not usually allow yourself to be privy to see. It is literally what you would generally call the eye of a storm.
Yeah. Huh.
And it is in motion.
And this is brief. What you were describing about absorbing energy, I experienced in the Yucatan one time when I was traveling, and the circumstances were such I didn't have a lot of sleep and not a lot of food, and yet I had plenty of energy because I was absorbing it directly. I feel I was absorbing it directly from the sun, and the whole time felt lighter and very energized by the whole thing. So it was just interesting for me to hear you discussing energy, food, and things.
Thank you for sharing the inspiration that you derived from your journey.
And also, one time in an interaction here, you mentioned, and you expressed it very dramatically, that I would meet
Thank you.
a Maya. Well, I did so. A few months ago I met him through an album he did, and we become good friends. And he's coming here to this area soon, and perhaps in the future we'll be doing a journey down to his people. And I guess also because of him I've connected, not on a physical level yet, but through meditation and things with the Maya, with the Council of the Maya, and actually also witnessed part of a ceremony they had a few months ago that was very important to them. And I just appeared in it, very briefly.
Well, how exciting.
Yeah, that was very exciting.
You sound excited.
Well, I'm nervous, but yes, it was it really was very exciting.
All right.
And I've also started to access how they travel physically in time. Like that time, for example, I thought that I had traveled to a cave in Colorado, and I'd actually was witnessing something that was taking place in the Yucatan.
Nice.
And it was very, very special, actually. Anyway, what I would like to ask you is, during that same interaction, you mentioned to me qualities that I had, and it would help me if you reflected that back to me. Qualities about when you take groups to these sacred places and things like that, and that I had some of those, and I would like that reflection back from you, if you would.
If you will share with me what you already understand, perhaps, maybe, I will expand. Now.
Okay, I love the places that I'm going to. I care what happens to the people, and I want experiences for them that are expansive and life-enhancing. And I also attune myself with the places, so I have that to offer and can help the group to do so.
Do you insist that they enjoy the area in some particular way, or will you make the allowance to allow them to create their own style and their own method of appreciation?
I would like them to be able to, there's a lot of allowance for them to be able to create that, so.
So the quality of allowance, yes?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
What else?
Knowledge, some of the knowledge that I have to impart.
Such as? Perhaps how some of what is referred to as rituals or ceremonies were celebrations of the connection between humankind and nature, oneness with the consciousness of the planet itself, and so forth. Ace?
Yes.
Very exciting.
Okay, yeah. And the relationship to the planetary bodies around us, that we're cosmic beings and that we're part of all these cycles and the sort of grand play of these things in the universe.
A lovely resume. What could I possibly add to that?
I don't know.
I thank you.
Thank you.
Shedding. Male.
This is another UFO sighting that was seen by a young friend of mine who lives in Massachusetts. I was up there for the past 2 weeks. One night he went to bed and he looked out his window and he called me, of all people. He came up to his room and it was dark. And he said he saw this triangular shape with blue, red, yellow lights. And then all of a sudden a circular white light in the center flashing, and then it took off and went by his other window and disappeared. So I just wondered if you had anything to say about this that I could relate to him.
No.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Male. Ace.
Greetings.
And to you.
I wanted to talk to you about, I very much desire to have a life of abundance and joy filled with love, and I've taken many steps in that direction by doing a lot of things and applying the stuff that I've learned from you, and I'd like to go a little bit further with it. So one of the things that I wanted to discuss was the apparent persistence of old beliefs, and the situation that seems to be cropping up in is procrastination with the consulting that I'm doing.
Before you continue.
Yes.
Old beliefs, new beliefs, persistence. Remember, you contain all the beliefs. The new beliefs are just as persistent as the old. Both are options. Options, options. Neither one of them controls you. You choose them. They may scream, I'm over here, but ultimately you decide, I will express this belief, I will trust in the expression, I will act according to that. So, by all means, invite them to be persistent. A non-preferred belief, which seems to present itself very strongly, very loudly, is one of the opportunities of alignment that we have been speaking of. Your ability to consciously choose the preferred belief, and perhaps even thank the other belief for giving you an extra option, allows you to continue to align yourself. As I have also discussed with you, utilizing your language in a way where rather than saying, I am not the old belief, but deciding and phrasing, I am the new belief, is part of the point here. Whenever you phrase the old belief in the decision, perhaps you can say the universe, which is actually you, has a tendency to ignore the not and just hear the statement. So rather than saying, I am not this, I do not want this, say, I am this, I do want this, I am this. So these persistent old beliefs, very conveniently for me, fit into the topic of this interaction perfectly. Opportunities of alignment. And I thank you. At this timing, allow me to thank you all. Allow me to thank you for doing me the honor of allowing me to sense your consciousness. I do not utilize what you would call the 5 senses of the channel and hear, see, smell, and touch you so much as sense you in terms of yourself as energy beings, in terms of yourself as essences. From my perspective, again, you are all simply part of my dream, but I love my dream no less. And in fact, perhaps more, because you are all a part of it. And so I thank you for allowing me to appreciate that much more of myself. And perhaps if you wish, you can follow the same lead in thanking yourselves and the others that you perceive that you interact with. I remind you, you already create your reality. You already in any given moment decide, you trust in that decision, and you act. I am not suggesting that you do anything that you are not already doing. I am simply suggesting that you can be aware of it and you can consciously apply what you prefer to be, who you see yourself to be, and allow your reality to milk out any of the persistent old beliefs that come up for you to address by choosing the new belief instead. That is all it takes. You do not get rid of any belief. There is nowhere to put anything to. You are the entire reality. You assume you become the new belief because you say so and because you deserve it. Good day to all of you, and a fond and loving good night.